Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and the Pokemon TCG has a ton of different cards in it, most importantly of which are generally going to be the trainer cards. Today we're going to be taking a look at 5 of them that are, I'd say, a little underrated that you should be trying out in some decks. These aren't in any particular order here, really, but they are all cards I think are a little underrated. As I said, you should try out. Some you're probably already playing and are considered good. Some you probably haven't really played with or seen very much, but they're not like super unknown cards. I was looking through the list of trainers, and actually tomorrow, I believe, I'm going to be releasing my video with like called Fossil, our podcast, which we do, which is just like a regular video every week, and we're going to be talking about cards like pet cards that we enjoy that are not necessarily so good. Like I was looking at Hole Digging Shovel. Hole Digging Shovel will not be one of the cards that I think you should play because it's bad. That being said, these cards are all decent. Some of these I played with a bunch, played against a bunch, or just thought were pretty interesting here. But let's just hop right into it and kind of see what I mean here. The first one is Nighttime Mine. Nighttime Mine is a card from Ascended Heroes. I think I said it was the second best new card from Ascended Heroes. The best card is obviously Pokepad. I'm trying to think of the other cards in the set, and it might be the second best card in this set, unless I'm forgetting something, which I very well may be. So I guess leave it in the comment section if I am. Again, a new card. So like, yes, Fezidip EX is better than Nighttime Mine, but that doesn't count there. But anyways, sorry, the second best card is probably Mega Frostlass. But behind that, Nighttime Mine is a decent card here. It's a stadium currently in standard. If we look at these stadiums, I can give them. There we go. We see there's 28. Let's look at the competitive ones, which is probably going to be most of them. Yeah, who played Celebratory Fanfare? I don't know. But, you're going to see most of these stadiums see a little bit of play, but most of them are kind of countery. You look at Team Rocket's Watchtower, Battle Cage, and Jamming Tower here, which are actually all next to each other and not that far from Nighttime Mine, which is also a counter stadium. And these are generally the better ones. Obviously, if you're a deck that's being negatively affected by one of these, then playing a stadium is a nice thing to do because there isn't a great alternative. There is one we actually will be talking about in this video, but having a stadium for, a stadium bump that will, for example, if you're in, I don't know, just like a Mega Lucario mirror, that's just a deck that will not be affected by the stadium. It's just going to be a stadium that doesn't do anything that can bump a stadium, which is something potentially useful. That matchup isn't the best example, but I'm sure you could think of some example like that, which, as I said, can be nice there. You look at the other stadiums that see play. You look at like Risky Ruin sees some play. I guess Team Rocket's Factory is pretty good. Force of Vitality is also a very good stadium. I guess that is the best stadium in the game. That being said, a Force of Vitality, I would generally say, for the most part, provides a lot of its value instantly when played. So having a stadium bump for it certainly is good, but there are times when bumping the stadium doesn't do anything, and it only like your opponent doesn't have a stadium in play, they toss the stadium down and just like get all their Pokemon to play, and then sure you could bump it, but it doesn't do anything. Ultimately, what I'm saying is the stadiums are kind of meh. So Nighttime Mine compared to them is, even if it's not super powerful, it's still worth considering there. What it actually does is increase the attack cost of Terras by 1 color. So obviously you shouldn't play this with Terras because it increases the attack cost there, unless you're doing something real wacky. But Nighttime Mine increase the attack cost of Terras is pretty nice. You look at the metagame, and ultimately, the best deck in the game is Dragapult EX. It's played a bunch, and it's good. And this is a good counter to it. Looking at the other options, there is Battle Cage. If we look at like Alakazam here, Battle Cage is played in this deck, sometimes as high as a 4 of there. Yes, Battle Cage is going to be a bit of a better counter against some of the spread stuff you're seeing, which is a big weakness there. Even something like Frostlass, Monkey Dory, things like that. Dusknoir as well could be tossed into that discussion or that list there. But ultimately, Nighttime Mine theoretically is probably going to be better. Battle Cage stops them hitting your bench, and I would say this is generally a stadium that's played a bunch as a counter to Dragapult. It's predominantly played in Alakazam here, but it's definitely played in other decks as well. Oh yeah, something that's not standard. I guess I'll look at the City League tournaments and we can see it in, I'd say closer actually to what standard is, even though it's not standard, not current international standard. But you'll see Battle Cage in a variety of different decks, and it's a pretty common counter to Dragapult. But it's not really a super good counter. I mean, they still swing for 200 at you for their 2 energy there. Nighttime Mind increasing it by 1 is going to be pretty rough, I guess. If you look at Dragapult, if you look at a list like this, they do have Crispin and like Rose's Encouragement there. Yes, I will mention a lot of times I say Rose's Encouragement is not very good. Comparing it to Crispin, yes, Crispin only works if you have 2 different types of energy in your deck, and if the types you're looking for generally are there, at least one of those. But Rose's Encouragement also has restrictions on it, and also only works in stage 2. So this card here, that gets 2 energies, which is cool, and will actually allow you can accelerate 2, attach 1, and swing in 1 turn there, which will allow you to kind of bypass Nighttime Mind. But overall, the energy acceleration Dragapult's kind of mediocre. I'd say it gets by, but it's not a deck with tons of extra energy. You look at something like Monkey Dory, where you might want some extra energies there, and you're definitely going to be struggling with that on top of a Nighttime Mind. As you could be running Air Zero Underdepths in various different stadiums. Oh, I guess Air Zero Underdepths is also a good stadium. It's used for a bunch of different things. I didn't mention it earlier, but you look at Crispin, you look at Rose's Encouragement, you look at Blaziken EX, these things can kind of go around Nighttime Mind, but it's still a pretty decent counter, I would say. And then on top of that, you look at other decks. You could look at, I still think Sailor is good. You look at Tiamat Sagarpon EX, theoretically you could stop that. If you look at Tiamat Sagarpon EX within a grass stack 1, you're probably looking at it with 4 Force Fatality there. And then on top of that 2, you're going to look at it with Meganium, right? And then with Meganium, you're going to see Meganium in play. Again, I mentioned Force Fatality. Even if that's not in play, if you have 2 Grass Energy attached to, or if you have 1 Grass Energy attached to Ogerpon, you can't attack, anyways. So that doesn't matter. And if you have 2, then you'll have double that to 4, and then you can attack through Nighttime Mind. So either way, Nighttime Mind doesn't change it. But there are some Terras, I guess you'll see some Terras in some basic toolbox decks, and some different things. Maybe Flareon, which is a not basic toolbox deck. Ultimately, though, Nighttime Mind is pretty against Dragapult, and I think a card that's pretty underrated. I think it's being played a little more, but it's pretty good. It's a decent card. It's not a broken card. This is probably the worst. Maybe it's on the lower end of the cards I'm going to talk about in this video. But the next card also starts with Night, and that is Night Stretcher. Night Stretcher is definitely a card that sees a lot of play. We look at it and looking at the most recent regional tournament at the time recording this on Limitless, we see that it's played in a good chunk of these lists. That being said, I would say it's better than this. In my opinion, it is. My opinions are as changing a little bit as I play the game more and different things like that. But right now, I think Night Stretcher might be the second best card in the game behind Lilies. I don't know. I'm still unsure on that, but this card it's really good. This card is amazing for doing a bunch of different things, and I just straight up think it's so good. You look at it and what it does. Obviously, it's a simple card here. It's an item, and this is put a Pokemon or basic energy from your discard pile back into your hand. There, the Pokemon can be any Pokemon there, and then the energy has to be a basic, but it can be any type of basic energy there. So, what this card allows you to do is recover stuff, and it is the best recovery. I'm trying to think of other recovery cards. There's Lana's Aid, and that's the main one I'm thinking of. I might be forgetting some other recovery card. It's like Energy Retrieval, I guess, as well. When I say recovery, I don't just mean Pokemon recovery, but generally Pokemon recovery is going to be a bit more important. I think a lot of the good recovery cards in general recover both or Pokemon. There are some others certainly that are that exist but aren't super good there. Ultimately, though, Night Stretcher is pretty good at recovering. It's pretty versatile in what it can get back. And if you're looking at decks generally, how many cards need to recover? I've talked about this with single prize decks. We theoretically need to recover a lot because you're theoretically getting knocked out a lot if you trade. Kind of, how just your opponent's just knocking you out once, and then once every turn. And then just going through your main attacker, then you need 6 main attackers there. Of course, you need to recover to actually do that. That being said, that's not what actually happens. I just talked about Dragapult. You're probably getting Dragapulted. And yeah, you look at a deck like Alakazam, and you're probably not attacking 6 times with Alakazam. Can you attack 6 times with Alakazam? Let me see. Oh, well, there's an Alakazam list right there, but probably not, maybe? I don't know. It's going to be pretty hard. But you look at this in lots of different decks, and generally you'll be knocked out some, and then you look at, say, Dragapult, and you probably have enough cards to deal with what you need. That being said, you look at a deck like, I'll just pull up Dragapult here, and you look at the cards in the deck, and you talk about what do they do. Ultimately, Dragapult EX is Dragapult EX, right? Like, obviously. And then you look at Dracloak, and Dracloak is Dracloak. It's your previous evolution to Dragapult EX there. Or I guess Dragapult EX, what it is Dragapult EX, which is your main attacker there. It allows you to damage Pokemon, take knockouts, which takes prizes and wins the game. But then also it allows you to spread damage cards on your opponent's side of the board and knock out Pokemon or lose them from play as well. So that's what you're going to do there. And you can look at something regarding that, like removal of your opponent's Pokemon, and talk about boss as well. You look at Dracloak, again, it gets you 2 Dragapult EX there. It also allows you to draw cards. This is going to be access to other cards, just some mystery cards there. You have some choice there, and you see 2 cards. It's pretty good, right? Dracloak is nice. And it could attack, obviously not very good there. Then you look at a card like Pokepad. Pokepad, which also, this might be better than Night Stretcher. I'm not sure. This card is very, very good. I'd say I don't know. It's real close to me. But Pokepad searches for any Pokemon with a rule box, or sorry, any Pokemon without a rule box and puts it into your hand. So this card is an out to Dracloak, Dreepy, Dunsparce to Dunsparce, Monkey and Badoo in this list here. So it's an out to so many different things and provides so much value. Ultimately, in the Pokemon TCG, I guess I will mention prizing is a part of the game and something that can lead to you. I mean, it will lead to you having 6 cards not in your deck. So if you play a card as a one of, for example, Badoo here, Buddy Poffin, Pokepad, and Ultra Ball all give you access to Badoo, giving you 13 outs to Badoo turn 1. Going first, and then 15 turn 1 going second with Brock Scouting. If Badoo's prize, you have no outs, right? You can't get it. Period. There's nothing you can do to get it. If you draw Badoo, you have Badoo. If you draw Buddy Poffin, you probably have Badoo unless it's prized. So I do want to mention that here. Buddy Poffin isn't just Badoo. Also, I guess regarding Badoo, actually, it is item lock, so Buddy Poffin isn't Badoo under item lock because it's nothing. You can't play it. So I will mention that. That doesn't apply too much to Night Stretcher. I guess tell me in the comment section, how often have you been item locked and then like wanted to play Night Stretcher and you can't play Night Stretcher because you're item locked? I can't really think of a situation where that's actually happened, but it could happen. It's definitely something it is plausible. But anyways, with Night Stretcher though, that card is also a way to access any Pokemon or energy in your discard pile. And so as the game goes on, you'll end up with more and more cards there. You look at something like Ultra Ball as well. And if you are able to bin cards that you kind of want for later with Ultra Ball or some other form of discard there, and then you're going to be able to use Night Stretcher as essentially a search card. Ultimately, I made a whole video kind of about this idea, so I'm not going to rehash it all in this video, but I mean, it is really interesting as well, in my opinion. But then if you're able to get a lot of cards in the discard throughout the course of the game, then you're going to see through something such as Hole Digging Shovel. No, definitely not Hole Digging Shovel. If anyone has an idea for Hole Digging Shovel, though, I'd love to hear it. But anyways, as you get cards into your discard throughout the course of the game, then you're able to you're going to be able to have Night Stretcher be an out to any Pokemon or energy, or yes, basic energy in the deck, which is like a lot of cards. I mentioned trainers are going to be the main things here, but that being said, they are not. I mean, like, trainers are bigger than Pokemon. They're certainly bigger than energy. They're going to be a little bit bigger than Pokemon in terms of, I mean, how many cards you're playing, but to put together, it's pretty close there. So this is going to have be an out to search for almost anything. And yeah, it's definitely very interesting. Also, sorry that I am for some reason kind of I don't know, my voice is kind of weird. I think it's allergies. But anyways, ultimately though, Night Search is super good. It's kind of the search out. It's not a search card, but it kind of plays like a search card, and it's really interesting. Ultimately, as I talked about it, you could pair it with something like Explorer's Guidance. You could play more Ultra Balls, or just be more free to discard stuff with Ultra Ball. I think Night Search is a card in high counts is really awesome. It's a card I've been playing as a 4 in a bunch of different decks. It's really amazing and just one of the best cards in the game. Moving on to another card that I think is super good. This is a card that definitely, I spent a lot of time on those earlier cards, especially Night Stretcher there, but Counter Gain here is, it's a card that definitely doesn't see that much play. I was looking at decks that play it. Apparently Lunatone, which I've not, I guess, heard that term used. So it's funny how it's Ursa tone. I just thought that maybe that's what people say. I don't know. But anyways, Blood Ursa Luna here and play apparently counter gain. Um, I don't really see this deck very often, and I don't see people attack with Blood Ursa Luna very often either. But it is a deck. Oh, this ain't standard. Yeah, it's not played that much. We look at post rotation. It's played some. I will mention that this card paired with Arven or Town Store is really good. Specifically, this with Arven. If you saw, I made a video on the Rotom EX, or like the Rotom deck with Rotom EX and a bunch of tools. And they actually played only 3 basic energies, or 3 energies at all. All the energies were basic. And so in that deck, the reason I did this was because I played it for Counter Gain. Counter Gain is a card that what it does is it reduces the attack cost of your Pokemon by one that's attached to by 1 color if you're down on prizes. Obviously, in order to use it, you need to be down on prizes. How hard this is to do, and like what's the cost to it? It depends, right? I will also mention, looking at the current metagame, I looked at this before, not going to dive into it too much right now. There are a lot of attackers. I'd say the majority are not going to be having colorless energy costs in their attack costs there, so counter gain won't work with them. When I say the majority, I do mean like maybe like 60, 75%, something like that, maybe even more if you're looking at main attackers, but certainly something like Blood Ursa Luna EX, and then certainly Mega Kangaskhan EX there. I mean, they are colorless Pokemon there. They don't have to be colorless Pokemon to use this, but unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, okay, certainly for, I almost said unfortunately, Dragapult doesn't require colorless energy. If it was like a colorless, that would be, I mean, it's already very powerful, but Counter Gain here is a card that essentially acts as an energy attachment there. And it doesn't require, well, it acts like it fulfills the energy requirement, but doesn't require your energy attachment. So it's an extra attachment. It's very good. Again, only if you're down, so you need to meet that requirement, and it needs to be a Pokemon that can attack for colorless, but like those aren't crazy requirements for just getting an extra energy attachment. And also, I will say, I'll be completely honest, I'm definitely lower on Crispin than other people. Or I don't know if lower, I think I am lower, but also I just don't play it that much. So, Crispin does a similar thing, except it's a supporter. Yes, it is searchable off of Meowth EX, and yes, it does get you 2 energies, and it does some different things. So ultimately, Crispin's a good card. But Counter Gain does some stuff that's kind of similar to Crispin, and people just don't play this card very much. It's a card that I think is kind of forgotten about. It's a card I forget about a lot. And then I was like looking through cards, and it's like, wait, yeah, this card's really good, and I want to play this card a bit more. Ultimately, any deck that plays Pokemon that require a lot of color synergy, and that it's potentially falling behind, which any deck realistically is potentially falling behind. Their decks are going to be behind a lot more than others, though. But if you're looking at decks like this, then Counter Gain can be good. I mentioned Tool Search earlier, and I mentioned Arven. Team Rocket's Petrol is kind of the replacement for Arven, but with Arven versus Team Rocket's Petrol, I would say Counter Gain is a huge difference. This card can essentially be a free search. At some point in the game, you can just search it without any cost, because Arven is going to be searching for tool cards alongside M cards, and a lot of decks don't play a lot of tool cards that then can be searched with Arven, or just don't play tool cards that are super good. You look at like Air Balloon, and that one was good, and then there may be like some other ones that were fine. There's also Sparkling Crystal, though those weren't played together too much, and then that's about it. Also, I will mention Sparkling Crystal. That card's pretty good. It's not like broken, but it can be really nice. But obviously it's an A spec. This is similar, but it's not an A spec. Ultimately, Counter Gain is really good. Yeah, it's an extra energy kind of, and that's really good. We have the next card here. This is one that is definitely played some. This is played the second most out of all these cards here, and that's Judge. Judge is a card that says you just play shuffles their hand to their deck, draws 4, and it's obviously your supporter here. And as a supporter, it's in terms of draws, it's okay. It's not. I mean, it's kind of bad, but it's obviously here for disruption as well. And it's okay. I will give a big like kind of asterisks on this card. I guess at this point it's not an asterisk, but this is a hand disruption card. Currently in standard, we just have Unfair Stamp. Unfair Stamp is a very good card. It is one of the best cards in the game as well. I guess ignoring the fact that it's an A-spec, it is the best card in the game. I feel pretty confident on that one, I guess. Don't know how that would apply to the other A-specs as well, but obviously it is an A-spec, so you're going to see it as a 1 of at most in any deck. And then it is going to be, you're going to be hit by it really at most one time. Theoretically, you could be hit by it more times, but I've never seen it happen. And then with that, you're going to be able to just disrupt your opponent some, and that's really good. But you're only doing that once. So then if you can't do that, then you have Judge here. As I said, there's the asterisk though, and with the next like Chaos Rising, we're going to get was it special red card, which is not as good as Unfair Stamp, but it's better at hand disruption than Judge, I'd say by a little bit, and it's an item as well. But even ignoring the fact that it's an item, it might be better at hand disruption than Judge. So I do think Judge will be much worse with special red card in the format, but it's on the format right now. So the Judge right now, I play it as a one of in most of the decks I'm playing. I mean, just quite simply, special red card will be played as a one of in most decks, I think, alongside Unfair Stamp as a one of, and you'll have two hand disruption cards. Ultimately, Judge is a lot worse than Unfair Stamp. It draws you less cards and it disrupts your opponent a lot less, but it's still it still does the job okay-ish. If you're scared against like Alakazam, this is an okay option. If you're looking for really strong Alakazam hate there, you could play something like Zoroark's Machinations. That's going to be worse in general though. I've talked a lot about Zoroark's Machinations versus Iono, and Iono is like so much better. Judge is Judge is kind of just a worse Iono. Obviously, they are different cards in terms of what they do, but definitely you're going to see some similarities there, and Iono just being better a lot of the time. That being said, Iono is really good. A worse Iono is still pretty decent. This is definitely a decent sport as well. Like, just in general, I've talked a lot about the sport as being a lot weaker post-rotation, and Judge is fine. It's not amazing. It's not a sport I play as a 4 of. I haven't really tried it as a 4 of, I don't think. Tell me in the comments section if you've tried it as a 4 of, like 4 Judge, 4 Lilies, or something like that. I don't know exactly how that would feel to play with. I don't know how that would feel to play against, so I don't have too much to say on that. But Judge as a one of, I think, is worth running just as a hand disruption card. I think this is probably the least exciting of my recommendations because I imagine a bunch of people are doing it. But just remember this: it is good, and it's not really like Judge isn't really bad in any deck. I guess Alakazam, I probably wouldn't play Judge there, but outside of that, it's pretty nice. It's not amazing, but it's decent. Then we have the last card on this list, which is Blowtorch. Blowtorch is definitely a somewhat sketchy card, but with the recent rise of stuff like Hero's Cape, and just different special energies, tools, and stadiums seeing play, Blowtorch is a decent option. I mentioned earlier there aren't really ways to bump these cards outside of with special energy. There's Enhanced Hammer, which is going to be better, not requiring you to discard a fire energy. But if you can discard a basic fire, you can use this card, discard a tool, special energy, or a stadium. This is going to be pretty decent and pretty versatile. Ultimately, discarding a special energy is really good. As I said, there's a way to do that with Enhanced Hammer, and that is going to be, realistically the best one of these options by some. I don't think by a crazy amount, but by a little bit there. That well, actually no, it definitely depends. There are definitely some tools and special energies that are, not doing very much, or sorry, tools and stadiums that are not doing very much. Special energies, I mean, energies are important in general, especially special energies, which can't really be accelerated. So being able to put your opponent back there is pretty nice. People aren't really playing on Enhanced Hammer or that many special energies. Oh, okay, sorry. People are in Alakazam, specifically against Alakazam with Mist Energy, as well as, I guess, Rocky Fighting Energy. I don't really know if Rocky Fighting Energy is particularly good, but that's for another day. But you're looking at like Crustle there. But whatever. We don't really need to talk about all of that stuff there. That doesn't matter too much for the general use of this card. Obviously, to be playing basic Fire Energy, the question is what deck are playing basic Fire Energy, and obviously there's one deck that plays basic Fire Energy that's very good, which is Dragapult EX there. You can look at this in different types of decks as well. There's some like Serial Edge, which I think it plays pretty easily, and I really do like it there. Ultimately, though, having a bump to a stadium, a tool or special energy is nice and versatile, and so this card kind of can cover your basis. This is definitely a card that I'm looking at. I'm like, exactly where is this going to be played? And directly you're not running too many energies, and losing energy can be a pain. But it's still pretty good. Blowtorch is definitely a card that is nice if you're looking for a way to deal with one of these things. It deals with it, and then also has some more versatility there. If you're looking to a way to deal with multiple, this does it pretty well. Exactly how good is this card? As I said, it's it's a little awkward requiring the energy, and you kind of need to play into it, which is a cost to the card. Actually, building your deck on it, but it is a good card. In some ways, and it's a fun card as well. It's a card I do like, and one of the better cards from the set as well, because the set is not the best. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and subscribe. That really helps support me and the channel. I really, really legitimately do appreciate it if you do that. Also, huge shout outs to my YouTube members for supporting the channel and joining. I will update this soon for new members and stuff like that. But I hope you all enjoyed. As I said, for YouTube members as well, there is some stuff you can get. No one I get comments, but I don't get many comments from YouTube members, though I have been getting more, so I do appreciate that. But I hope everyone enjoyed this video, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.